still see the scars in the ground in the 6-foot hole they placed. The little grave marker where his headstone was supposed to be had the letters L, R, R scribbled on it, calling way too much attention to a first name that he never used. The icy cold breeze called attention to the air that I could not breathe. My arms were glued to my sides, my hands were shoved in my pockets, and tears were streaming down my face. My uncle was standing behind me, telling the whole family to smile, let's take a picture. Never in my life have I wanted so badly in the same moment to be both invisible and conspicuous. What is wrong with you? Do you not realize this is the first time that I have seen my grandfather's grave? Fellow Toastmasters and guests, that was the moment that I realized my youthful delusions of immortality did not apply to my grandfather. As I stood there and stared at that patch of grass, the reality settled into my chest. And I knew that it was going to be there for a while. When you get that close to death, you start to think about it. And you begin to reflect on your own mortality. It was the first time in my life that I had realized that eventually it all comes to an end. That my days are in fact numbered. That I won't live forever. And it terrified me. It paralyzed me. I stopped going out. I stopped seeing my friends. I stayed at home. My life became sleep, eat, work. Sleep, eat, work. Sleep, eat, work. Like a twig in the Nile, I was just floating, going wherever the current took me. Then one afternoon, I was sitting on the porch of my grandfather's old house, with a roof that he had built over my head. I sat there in the summertime, watching the sun fall over the western horizon, with a beer in my hand, just thinking, as was my custom at the time. My thoughts drifted back to the last time I had seen my grandfather alive. At the end of his life, he had fallen ill. To this day, we don't know what beset him, just that in the last year and a half of his life, he slowly slipped away. But the last time that I saw him, he was in the hospital. And it was very evident to me that his mental faculties were not all there. It took him 15 or 20 minutes to even remember I was his grandson. He wasn't physically doing a whole lot better either. Couldn't really stand or much less walk. He was mostly confined to a chair or the hospital bed. But despite all of that, and the fact that those were true, something surprised me. The entire time I was in the hospital room with him and the family, he was cracking jokes. He was smiling. He was laughing. I couldn't help but be in awe of this man, so much smaller than me, yet at the same time so much bigger. I didn't understand how he was so strong and at peace in his situation. Sitting back on that deck, the only thing I could think about was his peace. He knew what he was facing, and everybody else did too, but he was the only one that was smiling. He was at peace. I was terrified. Mark Twain says that a fear of death comes from a fear of life. A man who lives fully is prepared to die at any time. So what am I then? Paralyzed by life? I clearly did not want to die. That much was evident. But was I not living fully? I had just gotten back from a 4-month tour of Europe. Put on top of that my travel to Argentina and Australia. I had gone up the Eiffel Tower. I had an ale outside the London Tower. I had seen the Alhambra in Spain. I had touched the Sydney Opera House. In Buenos Aires, I danced in a competition and became an international champion. I graduated college. I graduated high school. I bagged groceries. I sold cars. I built party tents. I started 2 entrepreneurial ventures that both failed. I learned from them. I folded clothes. When I began to take account of the things that I accomplished in my life, I realized that they were many. There were many things that I had done that I did not even think about. And yet, I was terrified. Peace. My grandfather was at peace, and he was that, my grandfather. I can find that peace. Randy Rausch, in his last lecture at Carnegie Mellon University, tells us, "You do not beat the reaper by living longer. You beat the reaper by living well. For me, that led to the personal survey of what living well means. I think the Irish playwright George Bernard Shaw sums it up the best. For this is the true joy in life, to be used for a purpose that is recognized by yourself as a great one, to be a force of nature and not a feverish, selfish little clod complaining about how the world won't devote itself to making you happy. My grandfather had found his purpose. His entire life was devoted to his family, to his 5 brothers and his 1 sister, to his 2 kids and his 6 grandkids, and most of all, to his wife. I know that my grandfather had found Shaw's true joy. Me? I'm still trying to figure out what my purpose is. And you know, it's natural. I'm only 25 years old. But at the same time, holy crap, I'm 25 years old! I feel time passing, and it is crushing, and it will never, ever stop. And I fear that I will not have enough of it. But I find solace in Lucius Seneca, who tells us that it is not we are given a short space of time. It's that we waste most of it. Time, we are given life enough. Time is given in significantly generous measure to accomplish the greatest of things if you were to invest your life well. My purpose then, now, is to invest well. I stand before you today not knowing how much principle and time I have, but I guarantee you that I will not squander it. I will invest my life in love and friendship and companionship. I will invest my life in my family. I will invest my life in new experiences and good causes. One day, it all does come to an end. And my goal is to be able to walk across that threshold to the other side and look my grandfather in the eye and say, I was not afraid.